up, Gorilla Nation? It is Relentless here, bringing you yet another Division 2 build video. But if you happen to be new to the channel, or you're just enjoying the content, then please be sure to ground and pound that like and subscribe button. Also, reach up there, trigger the bell, and turn on post notifications, so that way you never miss a live stream or a video that is uploaded. Quick announcement, on January the 2nd of 2020, the day after the New Year's Day at 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be doing a charity stream. We have a Gorilla Nation member who's a member of the Special Forces that is deployed overseas, or as some would say, downrange. And I wasn't able to do anything for Christmas, but, you know, it's never too late. And he's giving me a list of some things that could help them out and remind them that folks back home still care very much about their men and women that are deployed, that are in service. So first and foremost, thank you all for your service. But I'm going to be creating some care packages to send over to him and his unit. Things like calling cards, leather gloves he's mentioned, some batteries, toiletries, things of that nature, just to let them know we support them here and to try to give back. So if you want to tune in January the 2nd, 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be streaming for a cause. But anyways, without further ado, let's hop into this build. The gameplay will proceed after the build video, so don't forget to check that out. So let's start off. Now, some do not have the Eagle Bearer, so therefore I did not utilize this in this particular build. I did in the gameplay, but as you can see, this AK is 30.2. I've been rolling them like crazy, try to get one that's even higher. This one's 31.1, but it does not have Allegro or my desired main first talent, and that would be Eyeless. Deal 30% weapon damage to blinded enemies. After 3 kills, applies blind to the next enemy you hit. And since I like running with the Firefly as my secondary skill, then this plays into my hand. So another 30% weapon damage added on top of that 30.2k. There are my attachments as followed, of course, with that Allegro and Protected Deploy. Now, as my secondary, I've been going with the Pyromaniac, 24.7k with Perfectly Ignited, deal 40% weapon damage to burning enemies. And since I'm utilizing the Survivalist with those flame grenades, then I can very easily proc that extra 40%. Or if I want to use, let's say, the cluster burst mines, that catches their target on fire, anything like that will also reflect into this build. So it's just filter's choice, whatever you want to utilize. So that way I have 2 different forms and variations in which to go to. Since I'm running the Firefly anyways, then Eyeless plays into that hand, and with the flame grenades that's built into the Survivalist Specialist, then the flame grenades plays a part in this as well. So either or, I'm going to be getting that additional bonus damage. But if you do have the Eagle, then on this particular build, the Eagle is hitting for 28.9k. And there's the other AK. Like I said, I've been constantly rolling them like crazy, trying to get the right ones, but this one will do as of right now. Now moving on to the holster talent, it of course is Protected Reload, and then if you come into contact with any groups running a lot of status effects, then just switch your sidearm to Stop, Drop, and Roll, which is while equipped, rolling removes burning, bleed, and poison status effects. Can occur once every 60 seconds. So let's hop into the build itself. Alright, this is one variation with 121k armor, 104k health, and then 1892 going to my healer Pokeball. Now, the other variation of this particular build would be being a little bit more tankier. Let me scroll to it. And that would be the 490k armor, or 480. Which would be this one right here, and as you can see, it's just a different variation as far as chest pieces, but we will definitely go over that and the differences depending on your personal preference, whether you want to be a little bit more tanky or have a little more DPS. I prefer that on the DPS side. It works out really well, especially against those clutch builds, because you get that 29% damage to health, and it's easy to rip off their armor, get that proc of Bloodsucker, and then polish them off because you're getting that additional 29% damage to health applied to these ARs. So it definitely is beneficial and definitely makes an impact to those pretty much any clutch build out there. So the pieces themselves, starting out with the True Patriot, we are running 515 skill power and 21,960 health with an offensive mod, giving us 6.5% going to our AR. And the second piece of True Patriot, that alone gives us the 10% for having the two pieces. We have 787 skill power and then 26,728 health. And the third and final piece of True Patriot, which gives us the red, white, and blue debuffs. We have 12% total armor on it, and then it has an offensive and a defensive mod slot. In both of those, we get 5644 armor, 3% total armor, then 3% explosive resistance, and then 5.5% weapon damage going to an AR. Almost skipped over these mods in my holster, apologies, but in one mod, 6.5% going to the AR, and in the second offensive mod, we get in 6%. Now on to the chest piece. And this is basically the only thing that's interchangeable in the build between this variation with the 421k armor versus the 480k armor. On this particular chest piece, 15.5% total armor, 14.5% weapon damage, and then 25,816 health. Now, with a much higher percentage value of armor on this particular piece, then your armor numbers will actually reflect that. And of course, Bloodsucker, depleting an enemy's armor adds a stack of 25% bonus armor for 10 seconds. Max stack is 6. That is actually 15% in PvP, max stack of 2. Then it has 2 defensive and an offensive mod. In the first one, 6,056 armor, 2806 health, and 2.5% total armor. In the second defensive slot, 4869 armor and 3.5% total armor with 3% explosive resistance, and another 6.5% going to our AR by way of offensive mod slot. Now, if you prefer to have a little bit more explosive resistance, then you can change out any of these blue mods and stack on even more explosive resistance. I have a few that have a little lower armor stats on them, but then it has 10% explosive resistance. So if you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of armor, if you're in my case like I am here, then you can get that additional explosive resistance. Now moving on to the backpack, we have 5.5% total armor, 5% weapon damage, 30,476 armor with hardened and spark, and then an offensive and defensive mod slot, another 6.5% going to our AR, and then the defensive slot we have 3945 armor, 3% explosive resistance, and then 4% total armor. So essentially, I believe the last time I checked was this one was sitting at 99% weapon damage, 33% all weapon damage bonus, and then a 65 assault rifle. So that puts us up to, that's 98%. Apologies. So 98% all weapon damage going to my assault rifle. And then as you see, the 29% damage to health. Now the defensive talents, as you see on the screen, 15% protection from elites, 10.26% explosive resistance, pulse resistance, and then 20% hazard protection. Now on to the second variation as far as switching out those chest pieces to give you more armor. And the only thing that has changed, the AK that I was using, the alias one, has actually dropped 4k. So that's 4k weapon damage. And that also is reflected in the Pyromaniac versus 24.7 to 22.9. So not so much of a difference there. And then, of course, Eagle at 26.8 versus 28.9. So it varies from different ones. But as you can see, I did gain almost 70,000 armor. And I'm still utilizing the same pieces of True Patriot. It's just the chest pieces have changed. This particular one had 14% total armor. And then I rolled 38,372 armor with 34,108 health. So just like on the other chest piece, instead of getting that high armor roll, I opted in for the 14.5% weapon damage. Now you see they both have the 2 defensive mod slots and then in the offensive. So I gave up 14.5% weapon damage to gain close to 7 DK armor. And like I said, this is 2 different variations where you don't mind to be a little more tanky. You prefer the extra DPS, or you don't even have to utilize the True Patriot knee pads. You could substitute that out for Heligard if you wanted to, because you definitely have the blue Legos. It's the only thing that's going to change. You will lose 1 offensive mod slot, so therefore you're not going to be able to have Spark. But essentially, if you set them on fire, you're going to be getting that 40% weapon damage from here. Also, that same flame grenade will actually proc Spark, so a total of 55% weapon damage going to your Pyromaniac. And it's the same with the AK. You're getting a little less than, because it's not a perfect talent, but you're getting a 30% weapon damage bonus to those blind that you use the Firefly on to blind them, and then plus Spark, which is, keep in mind, the Firefly does not proc Spark, but the grenade also will take into effect. But if you don't want to use the Firefly, you can use basically any skill you want to as your secondary, and then you can switch from eyeless. You can stick with, also put ignited on here, so that way you have the perfect ignited on your other AR by the Pyromaniac, and then slap it also to get a 30% just from regular ignited to go on top of that 30k on the other build. It just depends on basically if you want a little bit more survivability or to do more tons and tons of DPS. But essentially, you're still getting the 14,776 health. The only different variation between the LMG version is just swapping out the gloves and switching out the offensive mod slots, and then boom, it's back into an LMG version. And then switching the chest pieces from my previous build that you've seen on the Pestilence. I actually had the different Healer Guard chest piece where it had a utility mod slot, so therefore I can get a little bit stronger of a heal by way of my Healer Pokeball. But it's whatever your personal preference is. Even if you want to go to Technician instead of the Survivalist, then you're going to have close to 3,000 skill power, but yet your damage is going to stay the same in your weapons. So also keep that in mind. It definitely will play a factor in which one that you choose, either more damage or have more survivability. But it all depends. If you don't want any skill power whatsoever and just want to be extra tanky and stack on the health, then you could put health in place of the skill power in your mask and your holster. But since you're running Bloodsucker, there's more an armor-based talent versus the likes of Berserk, where a deeper health pool will allow you to dive deeper into Berserk. As far as for the damage, this is for survivability. So you still have 104k health, which is you still have a good health pool, but yet you have skill power to actually back that up. And popping an armor kit with the Survivalist does help out your teammates as well in a gunfight. But whatever specialist you so choose, depending on your playstyle, just switch it out and you're still good to go. Bada bing, bada boom. But hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys fudging later. Send you over to the gameplay.